She's back. Hello. It's been too long. It has. And that's my fault. I'm sorry. I got busy. I was in London. I was doing a course at the National Youth Theatre. She's officially a member of the National Youth Theatre. So that was a great time, but it was very time consuming. And I was just exhausted. And I was staying with my friend and blah, blah, blah. I did not have time to do any videos for you, but now I do. I'm back home. I have nothing on. So we're gonna get to it. I thought the first thing I do back on the channel should be a movie review. So I'm going to be reviewing Weapons for you, and then a little like extra side dish of The Materialist, but that's gonna be like 2 sentences. So Weapons though, this was directed by Zach Cregger, and it stars Julia Garner, Josh Brolin, and Amy Madigan. Yeah, I love a horror. I love them so much, and this delivered, I think. It had a pretty decent story. It was a horror thriller, a little bit supernatural. It played around with form, which is always nice when it throws you off conventional styles. So in this, there's a lot of different perspectives you're going from, and then each perspective added more to what you originally knew from the first one until you kind of got the full story towards like the last quarter, and the last quarter kind of wrapped it all up. So I did enjoy that a lot about it. There were kind of 2 perspectives that I was like, we could have just maybe kept this as one, but I get why it was split up to add a bit more tension and then a bit more mystery reveal in the final one, which was, I think it was James, the drug guy, the druggie. So, but it was a refreshing take, I think, on the horror genre by doing those perspectives, definitely. And there were a few jump scares, and they were very good in the sense that you didn't, I mean, you go into a horror, you expect there's gonna be jump scares, but these ones were kind of like, you didn't know when they were gonna come, which they should be. The music didn't really give it away, and they kind of teased you, and you thought it would happen there, and then there's nothing, and then boom, it happened. Or you were waiting for it, and you're like, oh, it'll probably happen in the next, boom, there it is, there's the jump scare. Specifically, one in mind is Gladys on the ceiling in Julia Garner's character's house. Oh my god. I was like, I know there's going to be a jump scare there. She's woken up in the middle of the night. You know, she's having a bad dream, she wakes up. Something's not right. And she hears a noise, she looks down the hallway, and then she goes to bed. I was like, oh, maybe someone will be by her side, or like it'll happen again, there's a noise, she gets up. Nope. She lies down, and who's on the ceiling? It's fucking Aunt Gladys. They're scared the shit out of me. I was in the cinema with my mom. My mom screams so loud. No one else reacted. No one else jumped. It was just me and my mom scared out of our minds. And then there's another bit that got my mom more than me, but I can't remember what it was. But yeah, like, I want to be scared in a horror, and they did that, so thank you. Also, we gotta give a shout out to Alex. Who was the actor? Wait there, got my laptop. Because that kid was smart. That was Carrie Christopher, who played Alex Lilly. Like, I love it when kids are smart, and they're not the ones causing issues. Because if it hadn't been for Alex watching what Gladys was doing, and he knew how to like use the thing and control it, if it wasn't for him getting the kids to chase after Gladys, everyone else would be dead. So really, he saved the day. So fair play. And yeah, then him getting the kids to chase Gladys. That was so funny. Just having Gladys running, screaming, and then you had all the kids like after her. That was, yeah, that gave me a good giggle. Her death was brutal. Definitely. But it was like, you deserved it. You deserved it. But that was like the only funny part of it. There were a few little bits, but whoever told me this was more of a comedy than a horror, you were wrong. You were wrong. Because I was not giggling. Maybe a little at the end, there's a little chuckle, but there were no giggles. Not when she was getting just everything else. So you lied. But it's fine, I forgive you. But yeah, I kind of want to quickly talk about the meaning of the film. I didn't really go into it being like, there's going to be a meaning behind this. I think it's art, you know, there's going to be meaning. But I wasn't really thinking about that. And then I was talking to my friend last night, and she's saying, yeah, apparently it's meant to be like a take on school shootings. And I mean, I can't really personally talk about what that's like, because I'm very fortunate to live in a country where, you know, there's gun control and we don't have any school shootings. Not saying it's perfect, but you know, we don't have that. So I can't really talk about what that feels like and the like first-hand impact, but I didn't really get that from it. The only moment I can be like, okay, maybe there's a bit of like gun violence in there is when Josh Brolin's character is in that weird dream state and he looks to his house and there's like a rifle gun floating on top of it. But that was there for like 1 second and then it went. That's all. And I guess like it's a class of kids that were taken. But I feel like if it was meant to be a comment on school shootings, it could have done more. And then someone else, I was looking at Letterboxd reviews, someone else said maybe it's kind of exploring consumerism and the impact that is having on younger generations. I can kind of see that a bit. Maybe about greed and desire of older generations, how they've lived their life like that and how it's impacting younger generations. If we look about, you know, like just the economic shit of the world and the collapsing ecosystems and everything struggling, you can kind of see that with Gladys trying to heal herself. She was dying. The reason she got the kids was to heal herself. Like, I'm assuming it's absorb their energy, because you saw towards the end she came and she was bold, she was wearing wigs, and towards the end she could kind of, she had a few white strands that she could plait very well. So I guess that's her greed and desire to live impacting the children. And then, you know, there's other kind of examples of greed in that. You had like gluttony and lust and all that. Lust, Jennifer Garner's character, with the sheriff guy who was played by Alden Ehrenreich. Paul Morgan was the character. Like, he lied saying he broke up with his ex-girlfriend and they shagged. There's a bit of lust. Julia Garner's character, who's called Justine, her with her alcoholism, her coping mechanisms in that way. You had, I should just keep the cast here. It's going to be easier, isn't it? You had Benedict Wong's character, Marcus Miller. Before he was controlled, him and his partner, they were both eating hot dogs and cookies and kind of consuming all of that. So there's that consumerism in it that way, and I kind of see it more leaning towards that meaning than the school shooting. Because at the end of the day, all these adults were in the children's lives, influencing them. They're the ones with these sins, the gluttony, the greed, the lust, just like that overconsumption, while the kids have been kidnapped or missing. And yes, at the end of the day, it's all resolved by a kid, not the adults really, by a kid. And though the children are safe, they are not themselves. They're silent and they're dazed, and some of them don't ever talk again. I think that's what the narrator said. And all I could think about really was the so-called Gen Z stare that we supposedly do when we're at like work. When basically what it is, customers, they're just being bitches. They're being dicks. They're just being rude. And you're there just like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, you're getting paid minimum wage to have a full-grown adult yell at you and you just do that stare and you just like, you have no words because why am I wasting my energy? Why am I getting this? I'm just doing my job. And then that kind of made me think how the kids were. That kind of made me link it to that stare and the whole Gen Z and Gen Alpha. What are their lives going to be like dealing with the shit and the mess that older generations have created for us? I don't know, that's kind of what I'm more leaning towards. So yeah, that was Weapons. That was my review on Weapons. And quickly about The Materialist, because it was gone quite long today. I'm not a romance girl. I knew that going in. I just went because my friends were going. I have to say, it was hilarious. I know it wasn't meant to be funny. It definitely wasn't meant to be funny in certain parts, but it was just so cringy, some of the lines and some of the acting, and Pedro Pascal's character's whole story arc about him having the height lengthening surgery, and that was like a big thing, and he was like, you don't understand. Girls treat me differently. I respect it now. And then Dakota Johnson, she's like, how tall were you? And then Pedro Pascal's character genuinely just starts shrinking. He just, does that with a straight face. Dakota Johnson's just standing there like... And then you get a wide shot of Pedro Pascal crouching and looking up at Dakota Johnson, and I think that perfectly just summed up the whole film. So yeah, it wasn't for me, it was funny. I had to say, for me, the standout performance of that was Zoe Winters, who played like one of the women used in the dating service. She gets sexually assaulted, which again, completely out of nowhere, felt very unnecessary to the whole plot and to the whole romance genre. It just felt like they were trying to throw in everything they could that would make you go, ooh, and it didn't. It just made me go, what the fuck? So yeah, I knew I probably wasn't going to enjoy it as much as some people, but I gave it a go, and I'm gonna leave it there. My phone ran out of storage, so we're gonna be rapid. Thank you for watching. I hope you got thinking more about the film. If you saw Weapons, it kind of opened a new insight into it. If you were thinking it was more about school shootings or anything else, it's just nice to hear other people's opinions. Please let me know what you guys thought, and if there were more hints about the whole school shooting theory that I just didn't like recognize or realize, please let me know. I'd love to delve more into that film. And yeah, I've got some monologues coming your way. I've got some poetry, maybe a few songs, but who knows? I'm back. I'm just gonna be throwing videos out there for you, and I hope you enjoy. So yes, have a lovely, lovely day, a lovely, lovely week, and I will see you soon.